Hey Rick, how are you doing this evening? Heather, hey there. Rick, did you get my email about the package? Hey, Nature Nerd. Just sitting here and enjoying this tank. This one's in an area that I'm not near. Well, I'm near all the time, but I'm just past here all the time. It's by my back door that goes into the garage area, so I'm in and out here a lot. Rarely sit down at the table I'm leaning on here to eat, but I do try to sit here and enjoy these guys sometimes. I think there's 6 tanks in this room now. Hey, Ultimate. I'll look again, Rick, and see if you responded. I did look and I didn't see anything, so I'll go look again. But yeah, I was about to run out of time to get to my board meeting and make the post office before closing, and I never thought they would be that hard to catch. I never have to catch any out, but I have lots of, just like this tank. I mean, how would you ever catch a pleco in here? You'd have to take everything out. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and at my leisure catch them. I'm waiting on heat packs anyway, but at my leisure go ahead and catch them. And I had to have a specific pair in mind, and actually the parents of those little wigglers that I sent. I want to get that male gone. He's just a little too feisty, and he'll be the only male, at least for now, where he's going. So he's messing with all my other little males. He's just a little too ambitious. So, but a good breeder. So this tank is kind of it's at one time was the only tank I had in this house, maybe 20 years ago. It's not the original tank. I had another 55 here for about 15 years, I guess, and then I heard water one night that didn't sound like it should sound, and got up and it was pouring out the front of the tank. The seal had broken at the bottom, so I had to have a tote or a tub or something for each tank for just an emergency. And so I got everybody in that and went next morning and got this new 55, and of course I had all the stuff. I just needed a tank. So didn't lose any fish at all, but it's gone from everything to nano fish, large schools of fish. There may be even some small fish in there somewhere still. There were some rummy-nosed tetras in there, and some gold white clouds. I don't see any of them right now, but it's kind of evolved to be an oddball kind of tank at this point. And also a grow out for fish that are too big for the other 55 anymore. So these silver dollars they're large. They're very large, a lot bigger than silver dollars. There are 4 or 5 of those, and they're over to the right there by that gold severum. Those were true rescues. They had no fins at all. They were at our local Walmart, and they had them in with tiger barbs, and the tiger barbs had literally eaten all their pectoral fins off, their anal fins, their tail fins, and I'm sure the barbs were starving, but the fish somehow were able to maintain upright and still swim and eat, and so I just bought them all. And they were tiny then. But anyway, I've recently, a couple months ago, moved them, the other 55 to in here. And then my local fish store several weeks ago got in these barred or tiger silver dollars. I think I have 4 of those in there. And they were very small, maybe the size of a quarter, but they've really come along quickly, growing, catching up with these other silver dollars. And of course, you all know that I feed well and feed high protein, so I'm pleased to see them coming along. And I've got some nice Congo Tetras that have been in here for a few years up there. And the reason that one, hey Gary, the reason that one big gold severum, and she is big, she's a little bigger than my hand, she's in here, is that she's a dominant female, and I have another dominant female that you guys have seen in my other 55. And these two just will not get along. They would fight to the death. And I've talked to several people about it and tried several things so that I can have all my severums in one tank. Jeremy, Sergeant Tank, he's pretty much a severum expert, and he told me, that it was probably worse for me than it was for them, and just let them kind of duke it out and have patience. But I've tried it a couple times since then, and this one gets the worst of it and gets her fin shredded. And they're big fish. I mean, they can knock the top off the tank. They're large fish. So she just stays in here, and she seems okay. Forget what else I put in the title, but there's some angelfish in here. I had 2 pairs, and I lost one. I don't know what I lost it to. Just got so it wouldn't eat, and of course got thinner. And I tried all kinds of things, and so those 2 over there down in that corner are a pair, and the other one, got these guys when they were little bitty, is there, and it was the mate to that one that passed. And I've recently found a goldfish that it was at a new local fish store, and I was there picking up some other things, and this guy was a little smaller then, but very personable, very gregarious. Look at him right up by that one. So I was hoping this is what would happen. So now that guy has a friend again, or a mate, I'm not sure. But so that worked out like I hoped it would. And probably, well, I have 2 favorite things in here, but I have some Redeye African Tetras, and those are not in the hobby very often. And I wish I had, there they go across the top, across the back. Those guys are about 2.5 inches long now, and they'll get just under 4 inches according to the literature. And I think I have a male and a female. But again, one of the local fish stores had a bunch of those in, and some didn't make it, some were sold, and they got it down to 3. And I decided when I went back next time I was going to pick them up. Hey, Pam. Just telling old people stories about my fish tank, so if you can stand that, come on in. That was my next favorite one, Gary. I see you read the caption. Anyway, these guys, they only had 2 when I went back the next time, and they're great eaters. They eat anything I put in there, and if you look them up, they're called Redeye African Tetras. I won't even begin to say the scientific name. They're Arnold something. I guess somebody named Arnold discovered them. But again, they're not in the hobby very much, and they're usually much smaller than this. So I'm glad to have gotten these this big. And if I can find more, I'd like to go ahead. They are a shoaling fish, so I'd like to get at least 4 more to have 6 in here. So, and those tire track eels, I got those guys. They like to. They're hoping that I'm going to feed early, but I'm not. I'm hoping that we can find one of them. They were great big buds for a long time, and they're probably a couple of years old now. There's one. Where is that guy? Right there. His eye is in the very center of the screen, and you can see his little crooked nose. And this is the one that the other one picks at a little bit, but they're pretty evenly matched. They don't fight, they just do some tail nipping. And he's camouflaged there perfectly, so he's not going to move. They get along great with all the other fish. They were so small when I put them in here. Some of the, if I drop some bloodworms in there, they'll be right out. He's watching me, sitting there watching me, wondering why I'm sitting down instead of feeding them, probably. But they've grown to a pretty good size. I think they'll grow a little bit more, but they're lots of fun to watch. And so far, they've never gotten out, and I have some areas they could, just simply because this is a kid, and the lid's not sealed good at the top and that kind of thing, but yeah, they're a lot of fun. And I've gotten a couple other eels over the years, but they've not made it, and so I'm lucky these guys have done great for a couple of years. But yeah, they are going through a phase right now that they like to burrow, so the other one may be burrowed down, and I'll see a head sticking out, and they're not shy at all. There he comes on around. I have some ancient Cory cats in here, ancient, I mean over 10 years old. And that's one of the big females there. There's another female back there. There goes. Just missed the tire track. He was out here, the second one. But yeah, they're watching for me to feed and eager for me to feed. But yeah, if you guys have never had an eel, it sounds like you have, Pam. Now the fire eels and some of those things are just way too big for me, and for the tank I've got. This is a 55. This one is. But these guys do great in here. He'll probably come on out if I ignore him, so let me go back away here. What else did I say I have in here? I've got some geos, some redheads. There's a male right there, and the female is this one, I think, or it's a subordinate male, but I think it's a female. They've not mated, but they don't have fights, so they're gorgeous fish. And just to ease that tension, or hope if this isn't a pair, I added barred dollars. Talked about those before you came in. Yeah, I only have 4 of those, and I've only had them a couple of months, and they're doing great. But I added a couple of more of these redheads recently, just to even up the odds and hopefully get some breeding going on in here. They do a lot, of course, digging in the sand besides their sifting for food. There's a little redhead back there. There he is, he or she. Yeah, I'm really blessed with this tank. It's healthy and have never had any problems with it at all, or the fish in it. So it's just been a lucky tank for me, and good food and clean water. This morning was a water change day. I'm doing water changes 40 to 50% every 3 days now on all of my tanks, and that seems to be the magic amount and number. So takes a couple hours with a python, but this is the result. So you can see I've got lots of black algae in there, and that start came from my local fish store. Well, everybody almost every day gets some frozen food, of course thawed out, but I usually give them shrimp with spirulina, bloodworms, sometimes live blackworms, small mysis and large mysis, or mesis I'm hearing it called now. They don't get all that every day, but one of those every day usually. I've got some high quality foods that I feed them, and actually I do feed because I have rainbows from Lucas Brett's now. So I've been trying out the stuff that he feeds, the rainbows, and I'm trying that out with most of my tanks, the tetracolor tropical granules, and of course the fish I got from him eat it, but now that they've had frozen food, they really prefer that stuff. What else do I feed? I feed a variety of stuff. I like freeze-dried stuff, and you see I buy things by the gallon with 18 tanks. So there's some freeze-dried bloodworms. So I do try to do a mix. I try to give everybody like 4 different foods a day. It takes a little bit to get around. With the frozen, I just put them like in an old-fashioned mustard or ketchup dispenser, and after they're thawed, I just squirt them in each tank rather than pulling them up in a syringe or turkey baster. That saves all that pulling up. If you've got them in just a bottle, you can squirt them out of. So that doesn't take that long. So I think I answered your question. I just feed a variety. Every now and then some flakes. I feed some Sarah. Is it the tropical? Yeah, they would probably do fine on that, and if they are, well, obviously they are. I have some puffers, some rotten Amazon puffers that I have to feed a variety of stuff, and I almost never got them off of live blackworms, but they're, yeah, yeah, Lucas gets into this, doesn't he? But the puffers are starting to eat more now, and they will eat the tetra food too in their tank. So I'm glad, because they've even turned their noses up literally at clams on the half shell. So I'm hoping that they're going to start eating some stuff to keep their teeth in good condition. I don't want to be doing dental work on puffers, especially 8 of them. But yeah, these guys are, they ate late today for some reason. I mean, it was almost noon rather than 8 or 9 in the morning, so they won't eat till 9 or 10. Try to feed them twice a day, small amounts, a variety of foods, 10, 12 hours apart. I make sure they get at least 10 or 12 hours of sleep. I do cover my tanks at night too, so it's a blackout for them. It is tedious. What, covering the tanks? Nah. Each tank's got something that fits right over it. I don't cover the whole thing, just the front of it, so that like any light from a street light or something. Oh, trimming beaks, okay. Yeah, I've never done it. I've seen several people do it, the videos that are out. I don't want to do it. Being a nurse, being an RN, I really don't want to be anesthetizing aquatic creatures and waking them up from anesthesia. But if it comes to that, I will do it. But so far, they don't need anything done dental-wise. But just wanted to get on here for a few minutes, and it looks like it's been almost 18, just to kill some time. And I don't know that I've ever stopped at this tank. Oh God, I had to do that at the shelter where I volunteered the other day. One of the cats, an old cat that hadn't been keeping his claws sharpened and pared down on the scratching post, one had grown over into his little pad. And of course, since I'm the nurse, I'm the one that got to get it out of his pad and trim it off, but he's doing okay. I don't trim my cat's claws. Yeah, as long as somebody talks to me, that, you know, that's how people are, they'll continue talking, so. It sounds like I may get in trouble for having the TV on in the background. It's actually not TV, it's YouTube, and I think that trial was on today about CNN suing the president for ejecting the reporter, and I think that's what came on, it sounds like. So. We had a kitten over at the Ark where I volunteered a few years ago, and it really didn't need to be theirs while it was a kitten. And one of the families, our volunteer families that came into the shelter there, took her home and fostered her. And of course, you know where the story goes. She's a middle-aged, big fat cat now, and her foot did great, so. Is there like a bar of light across the top of the picture, or is it just the camera on this thing doing that? Can you guys see like a 2-inch bar of light or picture across the top of this? Okay, good. Yeah, it's just the camera. It's weird because it's even and straight across. I'm not sure why it's doing that, but it probably is. I'm sitting here with my bifocals on, and I'm having to look through the bottom with the distance I'm at here, so you're probably right, Pam. You are probably right. You know, as the older we get, I had a little light stroke a couple years ago, and it just did some things with dates and days and mathematics, and I'll forget the month, and but you know, stuff like that. You know, but no deficits or slurring of speech or anything at all. But it's real, you know. But so anytime I make a math mistake or I'm making a bank deposit that's wrong, or I can just say it's that stroke. So the older we get, we have valid excuses, and sometimes we can use the valid for things that they really don't cause. Which one? No one here's got a bid out of him, but which one looks like it? Yeah, well, I never could do math, but I can have 3 things to deposit and can't add the 3 up. And they know me, the tellers know me, so they keep an eye on me. So. Oh, there we go. Those redheads kind of meet in the middle there, and every now and then they have a little jousting, but they never touch each other. In the back, and it looks like a big indentation. The silver dollars, is it that one in the middle back there? The silver dollars have funky backs, but that's just the way they're shaped. I don't know if that's what you're talking about. Yeah, that's just the way they're made. See, they're all that way. Even the silver dollars, the barred ones are like that too. It's just the way they're made. They're like me, they have an odd shape. I never had paid that much attention to that, but it is noticeable, huh? Well, I had really never noticed it. That's why I wasn't sure who you were talking about. But yeah, apparently they all have it, the barred and the regular. Huh? I never really noticed it on them. That one there is rotten, as you can imagine. She had some green beans for a snack just a while ago. All my Severums love green beans, and I have to make sure they don't steal them from the plecos, because they do. So I have to make sure I put extra out for the plecos if that's who I'm feeding. And this tank doesn't have any plecos, so she's the only one in here that likes green beans, is the Severum. Wow. Yeah, they're getting frisky. It's definitely getting close to supper. I'm trying to think. Yeah, the angelfish have spawned several times, and particularly that pair that's still intact over there, the marble and the silver. They have several times, and they usually do it on that filter intake tube over there. They clean it off good. They get all that algae off, and they usually go on that. And I had some smooth rocks in here that I've confiscated for other tanks, like large river rocks, oval-shaped rocks, to put the dragonstone in here. And they haven't spawned on that, but they used to on the rocks sometimes, with the rocks stacked in the middle. Oh, there we go. Here's one of the guys. Little nose. There's one of the male Corys, of course, an albino. Let's see, has anyone else spawned in here? The Corys have for sure. I've got bunches of Corys out of this tank and in other tanks. The Congos, got the color on that Congo. Now he goes in the shade, in the shadow under those sprites. He's got some nice colors on him. but they do, frequently they do, they spawn, and it's usually on one of those plastic plants. Of course, everything in here except that water sprite, which is there for them to pick at, not for any other reason, it's just there for them to eat, and she's under there for a snack now. But yeah, they spawn in the plastic plants all the time, the Congo Tetras. I think that's all out of this group that I've had spawn. Okay, guys, it's been 25 minutes, and some of you know I'll sit here and talk as long as somebody talks to me, but I'm going to walk my dogs now that it's pouring rain. And hope you enjoyed a little bit of this, and if you did, give me a like. I think we're supposed to say that, and if you'd like to subscribe and head, and I'm trying to get to 200, and I may get there at the end of the year. By the end of the year, I'm coming up on 180, so. How many other do I have? I've got 18 tanks running right now. I've got 18. Yeah, there are several other in this room, but most of them are in my bedroom. That would be the official fish room. I've got a few videos. Yep, I have some guppies. I have some award-winning guppies. Not that I bred, but Michael from Michael's Fish Room. I've got a couple of guppies of his that won some guppy contests recently. Won one and one placed first runner-up. I have those. But yeah, I have guppies, I have platies, I have mollies, I have marigold verettas. Yeah, I've got all the live bears. My most recent obsession is rainbows, and I've got some really nice rainbows. I mean, not bragging, I didn't raise them. I mean, I didn't breed them, but bought them that way, so they're really nice. They spawn all the time, but yeah, Michael's a cool guy. I've actually got some fry from his guppies in my floating plants right now. I've got limias and I've got goody eds and, you know, just a mix of stuff. I've got a variety of plecos, and the most recent are the long fin green dragons from Gary Lang. I've got 6 of those, so I'm growing those out. So just a whole bunch of different stuff, and an eclectic collection. Uh-oh. Something was bothering his fin. He was shaking it and then decided to scratch. That always makes you cringe. 99% of the time it's nothing, but I can't see if Rick is still in here. Probably not, because he's heard these stories before. But I don't think he's seen this tank. But I have 8 fry in a grow out tank just to my left here from him. Some American green guppies, really nice. They'll be really nice tailed when they grow up. I guess that's actually the most recent fish I added. Got some spangles there. It looks like egg spots the way the light's hitting them, but it's not. It's just spangles, the light hitting them. All right, guys. Thanks for sitting here with me and talking with me for a few minutes and for a half an hour. And I appreciate it. And y'all come back now. Thanks.